Well, we're back again for another retro review. The Wire, Season 1, Episode 7. One arrest. Let's get into it.
Ain't it obvious? I just got the check for depositing. $750 for the sound wave to get it processed. Won't stop till that shit weighing down my pockets. My main things to my main thing, she a blossom. When she ease the pain with the brain, she a doctor. She open up anything thicker than the plot gets. Swear that shit is awesome. Sight for the optics. Young nigga on top. Nike's all I'm rocking, so that all they see is checks from where the head to where the socks fit. No logo on the bifocal, flicking old roach tips. Won't even show my face until all the shows book. Need the cash in advance, leave them all social. I'm the guy they chosen. Rise up like the rose and put them on a poster. All the way up in the sky where the stars posted. Sip it on that rose, I put it down on coasters. Stack francs from the waves till I own the ocean. More praises for the sayings, let it all soak in. They like, hey, that shit is flame, bitch, I know I rode it. Going tight.
Welcome back to my channel. This is EBBIE with EBBIE Reviews, and today is going to be my retro review for The Wire, Season 1, Episode 7, One Arrest. Okay, my eye clouded over there for 30 seconds. So, please bear with me. I have a chocolate cupcake in front of me and a little red juice. So this might be a little mukbangy review that we got going on. I'm on my lunch break. Roll with me. So we start off, we're in the basement and we're listening. They're listening to the wiretap. Herc tries to explain. So it's Freeman, Herc, McNulty, Carver, and Presbeluski. And so Herc tries to explain what they're saying. He's wrong. He's absolutely wrong. None of what he said made sense. And Presby and Freeman, who have figured out the code, explains to him what they're saying. So we then go to San Angelo and Major Rawls. Major Rawls is riding the hell out of San Angelo because he wants any dirt he can get on McNulty. He says you either get this dirt on McNulty or you start clearing your cases. So, McNulty, Greggs, Herc, Freeman, and Carver are talking about your arrest. And they're talking about they don't want to pick up Stinkum just yet. Because if they do, then they have to figure out, they have to tell how they need to arrest him, which would then give up their wiretaps. So, we again go to the state's attorney and McNulty talking to the judge about what they've gotten so far and what's happening because they're trying to get the judge to sign off on 30 more days of wiretapping, which he does, but the judge is being a real dick. First, he reprimands McNulty about his spelling and the misuse of then and then and the way in which manner in which he says it. Completely shits all over McNulty, and then he talks real nice to the state's attorney, and then when she leaves, talk about he would like to throw his dick into her. Like the judge is on some old shit in this episode. And then we go to the cops are watching Stinkum and they taking pictures, and everybody's like, okay, he's here, he's doing this, doing that. So they're like, okay, get him. And they run down on him. The little boy jumps out of the car who has the stash, and he's running. He runs into the pit where D'Angelo and them are like, what's happening? And so Bodie kind of gets in front of Herc, and Herc trips over Bodie to try and slow him down, says to not catch the boy. One moment. Sorry about that. I got a phone call. So, don't even remember where I stopped. Okay, so they ran down on Stinkum. Bodie jumped in front of Herc, tripped him up. Little boy still got caught. Now this little boy has a patch over his eye, and that's gonna come back in a few minutes. So let's see. We then go back to the judge and McNulty, and McNulty tells the judge that Rawls tried to kill the case with those low-level murder cases, And the judge said, well, why didn't you tell me? And he's like, because the last time I told you something, you dropped it down to the newspaper. That's why I don't trust you anymore. He said, well, the next time something happens, tell me. You know, I got friends at the courthouse. Stinkum hit Stringer Bell Pager about what just happened. They get a call that said, hey, he's waiting by the payphone. So Sidnor has to hop in his car, run over to the roof across from where that payphone that he's using, so that when Stringer Bell calls him back, they can monitor that particular call, because they have confirmed that it is Stinkum and Stringer Bell talking to each other on the wiretap. So, San Angelo is trying to do his job because he doesn't want to snitch on McNulty. And so the lieutenant is a jackass and gives him a card for a psychic to help him solve his case. Because clearly he don't know what he's doing. So Bunk and McNulty are going over the crime scene where Mr. Gant was murdered in the middle of the courtyard. And they see this older lady trying to get her groceries, and, you know, her little shopping buggy had kind of turned sideways and some of the stuff fell out. So they go to help her, and they go in the house and they talk to the older woman, and she tells them what she saw, because she saw the murder, and she tells them how it was done, and she gives a description of the person who did the murder, which she describes Bird. And so they ask her, can she testify? Did she get a good look at the man? She was like, no, his back was turned to me. And she was like, I'm not gonna testify, because she knows clearly the man who got killed was testifying. So what it looked like, if they're gonna kill him, what you think they're gonna do to this old lady? So they give her their card, and they're like, if anything, you have any trouble, call us. We did go to court, and Johnny, who behind got Bubbles' little drug head friend who got arrested last week, is being arraigned. And so Bubbles has asked Kima for a favor to get him out. So she tells him, plead guilty to the possession, convince the people that you want to get clean, and then you'll get out. And all you have to do is go to some meetings and take some piss tests, and then you'll be done. He was like, and no jail time? She was like, no jail time. And he was like, okay, bet. And so Kima had already talked to the prosecuting attorney. I can't be tired. I still got a couple more hours. I'm on my lunch break. I got a couple more hours to go and work. So she put in a word with the prosecuting attorney to let him scoot by. So Bunk and McNulty have discussed that with Omar. They have enough evidence with what that lady just said and Omar to pick up Bird for this murder. So they got the little boy who they actually arrested in this little jump out situation, and it comes to Prez Belusky is looking at the little boy, and the little boy is looking at Prez Belusky, and they recognize each other. The little boy with the eye patch is the little boy that he gun butted, and that's the reason he has eye patch, because he lost his eye fucking around with Prez Belusky. And so Prez Belusky goes into the office and tells Daniels, who comes out, and asks him what he wants to eat. And he sends Carver to get what he wants. So while Carver is gone, he's like, I know, you know, you've been through some stuff. The game requires a lot of you. But if you ever feel like you don't want to pay the price for what this game has done to you, here's my card. Call me, come see me, and I'll give you a way out. And the little boy told myself, oh, he think he can pimp me. I'm sorry. He thinks you can pimp me for a peanut butter cup and a sweet tea. And he gets fuck out of here. And he flicked the card away. But, you know, that was Daniel's guilt, because he covered for Prez Belusky in that whole situation. So there's that. Just all of a sudden out of nowhere. I'm sorry. The young man's name was Kevin. Okay. So Santangelo goes to see Madame LaRue. She gives him a statue. It tells him to go to the victim's grave, bury the statue for a whole hour, and then unbury it, and then put it under his pillow, and then the statue will whisper who the murderer was. Girl, what? Bitch, you playing games with people's emotions. All right. So We at a bar with Bunk and McNulty. Bunk is finna cheat on his wife with some bar skank, the way he looking at that lady. Because his wife has been gone to his sister's house for a week. And he was like a pussy will turn even a good man into a jackass. Okay. So we then go to Daniels, Lieutenant Daniels and his wife, who has some snooty cocktail $500 a plate fundraiser, and he runs into the chief, and then him and the chief are talking. We get our first introduction into Senator Clay Davis, who is one of my most favorite. He has one of the most famous, iconic lines in this whole series, and I can't wait till we get to it. It'll be a couple seasons from now. But Senator Clay Davis, sir, we salute you and I see you. All right. So Johnny Tate does intake into the meeting, and he was like, "You're not gonna sign my paper." He gives the people the paper because he has to go to AA meetings as part of his probation, so he stays out of jail. And it's like, "Here's the paper. You're not gonna sign it." He's like, "Nope. You gotta stay. We sign it at the end. You don't stay, we don't sign it." He's like, so they go and sit in the meeting. And there's this one man who gets up and he does his testimony, I guess they would call it. And I feel like Bubs is very convicted by what the man says. He was like, "I know I have another high in me, but I don't know that I never have but I don't know if I have another recovery left in me." So that keeps me motivated to be clean every day, which I thought was a powerful statement to make, Jesus, because you don't know. Because that last high can be the last high because it kills you. And so he goes up to get a one-day chip for being clean. And Johnny was like, "But we got high before you got here. I don't understand what's happening." And Bubs is just very affected because I think he feels the same way. He knows he has another high in him. But the recovery thing, I don't know. So, Lieutenant Daniels gets bored on the snooty party, and he wanders into the kitchen, and there all the drivers of all the little hoity-toity people are sitting there watching the baseball game. So he sits down with people and start chopping it up and asking questions about who's on first and who's pitching and blasey bloom and blue. And so one of the guys starts talking to him. He's like, "Man, this would be a smooth house to knock off." And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, easy." He's like, "But what about the security system?" He said, "I'll loop that motherfucker back in on itself, back my van up to these French doors." And he's like, "But what you gonna do all that stuff?" He's like, "Most of the stuff I got a fence for, and the big stuff I got a connect in New York." And he was like, "Hey, my name is da 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 da, but they call me Day Day." And he was like, "Hey, I'm Daniels, but they call me Lieutenant." You let that man incriminate himself. You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that. So his wife then comes to get him. She's like, "Oh, I got somebody I want you to meet." They give each other a look, and he walks off. Okay, so Bunk and McNulty are sloshy at this bar, going over how, and Bunk is telling him, "You're gonna have to kiss Rawls' ass for months to get over this, to get back in that man's good graces and not do no shit." So he tells Bunk that he's like, "You're my favorite person, I like you. And the reason I like you is because when it came time to fuck me over, you were gentle about it, not like everybody else." I said, "Well, that's okay, but that's all right. All right, darling. All right." So, D'Angelo goes to see his uncle at the strip bar, and the owner, Orlando, who's sitting out, who's not actually the owner, he's just a name on paper person, and he says to D'Angelo, "Hey, I got a move I want to make. Holla at me when you get done with your uncle." So he goes into his uncle's office, and he said, "Who's snitching?" He's like, "Nobody. Nobody's snitching. Nobody came up with no extra money. Blah, 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 blah." And he was like, "Well, something is going on, so we shutting down the pit until we figure out what's happening." And so Angelo knows something is wrong, because he's like, "There's no way they ain't fucked with Stinkum, who was driving. They got the hopper and the stash, but they still ain't. They got the plates off of his car." He's like, "I ditched the car, but the plates come back to you anyway. Why ain't they came and pick you up yet?" They know something is off. They know something is off. So, so he said Stringer Bell's gonna come down with the new changes and what's supposed to happen from now on. So, Angelo tells McNulty He got somewhere to be in case he cover for him with Daniels. Freeman calls Herc and Carver into the wire room to hear them, the Hoppers, talking about him and Carver calling them Batman and Robin. And so they fight over who's Batman and who's Robin. Either one of you, but whatever. Bubs and Johnny are getting high, talking about they have to get some clean piss for Johnny for his probation officer. And Johnny's like, but Bubs, who do we know with clean piss? Accurate. Very accurate. Very accurate. So San Angelo goes to bury the statue Maddie LaRue gave him. Omar is talking to McNulty and Greggs and on Bird and schooling them on Bird and who's be getting high. And he's like, how he getting high? He in the crew. He's like he's not scoring from anybody from D'Angelo crew. He goes somewhere else and get high because that's one of the rules that Avon has, is that don't get high on your own supply. Very Biggie Smalls. So Orlando comes to see D'Angelo. So he gets his own drug connect. And he wants to do something, and then he would split the money between him and D'Angelo. He's like, I'm taking all of the weight for dealing with these guys and doing an end run around your uncle. But, it's time for us little men to get ours. We've been putting in all this hard work, and we not getting anything for our troubles. So maybe it's time for us to do a little business for ourselves. Now, I know D'Angelo knows this is not the right answer, but, we going to get into that eventually. So Bodie is talking to Poot, and he was like, where's Wallace, man? We'll never see him. He said he's fucked up behind that stuff with D'Angelo, and he is and he stays in his room all day. Some days he don't even come out. And we then go to see Wallace in his room getting high. When I say that thing hurt my feelings, that thing hurt my feelings. Look, the baby is in there getting high because he's not emotionally or mentally equipped to deal with having even remotely been a part of causing that child's death. And it's too much for him to handle. And so he's self-medicating to forget. And when that baby got high and then fell out into a nod, that thing took my face. That thing hurt me. It hurt me. Like, I know this is a TV show, but that thing touched it. Ooh, Jesus. That thing hurt my feelings. So they watching the place where Bird is, and Bubs put the hats on him when he comes out of the wherever he's scoring his drugs from. And so there's like, oh, that's him. And they arrest him. Listen, Freeman busted him upside the head with a bottle, and they took him down. They get the gun. So Weebay and Stringer Bell comes down to the low rises, and they trying to figure out how did people know what's happening. And Stringer Bell happens to look at the payphone. He was like, listen, snatch them payphones from out of here. Y'all go and go a block or two away and use a payphone. Never use the same payphone twice in one day. And so that's what they proceeded to do. And when they snatched them payphones out of the low rises, it immediately sent an intercept signal to Freeman in the basement. So there we go. So Bird is being interrogated by Greggs. Bird is calling her all kinds of names. He's calling her cunt, and just a whole gamut of disrespectful shit. And so Daniels tells McNulty someone needs to go in there. And he's like, why, you don't think Kima can handle herself? He's like, I'm not afraid for Kima, but if somebody don't go in there, she gonna cut that fool. And so McNulty puts his gun down and he goes in there with Greg. So Bunk is talking to Omar and tells him that he stepped up on this case because Bird killed a working man. Omar said he never puts his gun on anyone who is not in the game. A man must have a code. That code is going to become very important as the series goes on. This series is about a bunch of codes that people live by. It turns out that Omar and Bunk went to school together. They were having a conversation. Omar was like, why do you look familiar to me? And Bunk used to play lacrosse. We'll revisit that in a second. Bunk asked him what else he got on other open murders since he's feeling so helpful. And Omar says, how far back do you want me to go? He's like, how far back? Here you go. So ballistics comes back and tell him that the gun matches the murder. Bird doesn't tell them anything. So now that they got him, the gun was on you. We know you killed him. So we don't really need your confession. So we just gonna whoop your ass because you've been disrespectful this whole time. So they go in the room and proceed to whoop his ass. Listen. It's horrible, but so Angelo gets a call that the murder Omar told Bunk about was one of his cases. So he gets to clear one of his cases, which was the prerequisite for him not having to snitch on McNulty. Either you do your job and clear these cases or do what I asked you to do. That was his mandate by Rawls. So then because he was helpful to him, he says to him, we need to talk. He tells the McNulty, said, we need to talk. And so Santangelo tells him that Lieutenant Rawls, they after you. They after your back. It's not just, we going to make you feel a little pain for a little while. No, they're trying to get you fired. They're trying to snatch your job away from you. So McNulty goes to the state's attorney's house and he's very upset. And she was like, what, is this a drunken fuck on a Tuesday? And he was like, no. They after my bag. Like, he's very upset. He's like, this is the one job that I love and they're trying to take it from me. And so he goes in the house and I guess they're going to talk about what they can and cannot do. And that's how the episode ended. Again, another great episode. Everything means something in this universe. Like, there's never a missed opportunity, a missed anything. So please, if you're watching this, like, comment, and subscribe. Let's talk about it. How do you feel about Rawls being have his head so far up his ass that now he's trying to get this man fired? All because you mad that he actually wanted to do his job. Because that is what it boils down to. The man wanted to do his actual job and you just being an asshole about it. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a kin. And I will catch you in the next one. Peace.